On today's episode, I teach you how to baby shark your business. And I wish I was joking, but it actually works. It makes sense. And you might even be able to make a model out of it. But this is basically how to protect your progress, your forward momentum, to stay focused and on the track. And we do it all through the lens of baby shark. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mind of George show, where I'm either in your earballs or in your eyeballs. And either way, I'm grateful to be there. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about baby shark for business. And not really, but kind of. And I needed an alliteration. And I don't know why, but I was in the car this morning and I heard that song on like a YouTube short and it popped into my brain. And there's a shark analogy in today's podcast. And so then it went baby shark for business. And that's how we ended up here, which is really, really funny. So what are we going to talk about today? We're actually going to talk about, how would we summarize this one? Improvements, adjustments, iterations, course corrections, protecting momentum, consistency, but kind of how. And I'll paint a picture of how we got here. So I've been making a massive amount of updates to customer journey, IP, intellectual property, models, ways that I teach it. And in the last 2 months, I've taught customer journey probably 20 times, like I normally do at the event, to compress down. And it's changed a lot in its effectiveness and how it's taught to you and how you can implement it into your business. And I'm really excited about this upcoming event. And with that shift in teaching, one of the things that I noticed coming up consistently for everybody, which then we figured out how to mitigate and solve, was this. I want you to think of like a diet analogy when I make this reference, and I'll explain that in a minute. But it was almost like, okay, customer journey, something's missing, something's not working. Fuck it, I'm going to throw it all out in the trash. I'm going to start over again. And the easiest analogy I can give is no different than when someone, and I remember this used to being a paleo food blogger, and someone's like, how do I go paleo? How do I go paleo? And the first thing they would do is they'd go home and they would empty out their entire pantry and throw it in the trash. Like, wouldn't think to donate it, just trash. And then they would go spend like $1,000 to replenish their pantry. And it didn't really work, right? And I've been teaching customer journey differently, and I've been teaching it through the lens of mistakes, which some of you have heard. And one of the things that happens when I teach the triangle of death, which is the 3 critical mistakes people make with customer journey, a lot of people's initial reaction is to go through that, write down everything and be like, oh yeah, I want to fix it. And then go home and literally delete everything and start from scratch. And so it's been happening a ton, and we've been working with people through this, and now it's not happening anymore. But I also realized that in the analogy and in the story and how all this came to be about today's podcast, there's a multitude of lessons. And the first lesson is applicable to the business part, but the second lesson is applicable to us intrapersonally. When it comes to how we relate to things, how we grow, what we're working towards, right? And so the way that we relate this, and this is what where the baby shark analogy came from as I pull my iPad up because I want to sit back. But the funny thing is can a shark swim backwards? And the answer is no. Unlike fish, sharks cannot stop suddenly or swim backwards. A shark's pectoral fins cannot bend upwards like a fish, limiting its swimming ability to forward motion. If a shark needs to move backwards, it uses gravity to fall. It doesn't swim backwards, which I knew this and it like blows my mind. But basically, the fortune cookie is to be an apex predator, you just have to keep moving forward, which is actually really, really interesting because consistency in the right direction is one of those things. And so in the lens of customer journey, right, what's been happening, and we've seen this a lot, and is people will learn about the triangle of death. Like I'll talk about the zone of doubt, right? And they're like, oh my God. Or, ooh, my favorite, actually, I'll give you a tangible example, the drown the journey, right? When I talk about the drown the journey one. And they'll literally go home or go back into the business and delete it all. And then I'll come into the business like, all right, what do you have? I'm like, oh, we got rid of it. I'm like, what was it? And then I'll eventually find it. and it was everything I needed. It was just all condensed. And so with this, what we're basically saying is that when you are operating in your business, when you're operating in your life, I've been bullish on this analogy of using a triage nurse, right? And for everybody, I'll paint this picture because I don't think I've painted it, but if you ever go to an ER, and I've had the pleasure of being in an ER more times than I have fingers and toes, but when you get to the ER, you check in, and then the first person you see is a triage nurse. And the triage nurse's job is to do like an entire current state awareness, right? So blood pressure, pulse, symptoms, looking for obvious signs, and really determining what's there on the surface, underlying surface, to then make the best decision and the best course of action, right? And I've been obsessed with this principle because one of the things that you have to remember, and I'm going to use customer journey as an example, is when I'm teaching the 3 mistakes of customer journey, the only reason you can hear the mistakes is because you have something in place that works, or there's a foundation that exists to reference it against, which means when you find holes or quote unquote mistakes, they become opportunities to go deeper, not to go wider or not to throw it out in the trash, but to go enhance what is already there. And so the analogy with the shark is we understand that when we get hit with these mistakes, right, when we're like, oh my God, this is fucked, or I don't have that, or I don't know what's there, it can feel overwhelming and frustrating. And then people want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, for lack of better terms. It happens all the time. It happens to me all the time. It's happened twice today, probably 17 times yesterday. And it happens when we hit roadblocks, right? We want to just change directions. We want to do it. And so the goal here, and here's where the shark analogy comes in. So you're going to baby shark for your business. So now I'm going to positive anchor baby shark into everybody's life. And if you don't know what baby shark is, do not Google it. And if you don't know, I don't know how you've made it this far. But when you think of baby shark, when you hit these moments now of like, oh, my customer journey's broken, or the zone of doubt, oh my God, I'm killing them there. Instead of changing directions and throwing it out, drop deeper, right? So the shark just uses gravity to fall, and it falls deeper into it. And what I mean by that is that when you understand this game, and you can go study the greats, right? You can go look at the internet marketers that you've looked up to, the products that you've looked up to, the companies that you've looked to. They don't win because they tried to make thousands of products. They win because they took a product and then they kept iterating it and iterating it and iterating it until it got better. And it's the same lens with customer journey. Is you start with one, and then when you realize there's opportunities to be better and to go deeper, then you go and prove it, and you go and prove it. And customer journeys are relationships, right? These are relationships with our customers, the people that are buying our products, that are spending money. And so these are things that are going to change over time. And so you need to be able to go deeper into these things when you find these mistakes, not necessarily throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so that's why I think the baby shark analogy is perfect, because what we're really doing is, for lack of better terms, if you want to visualize this, there's a great white shark swimming through the water and it smashes its nose on a glass cage that it can't see. It stops for a minute, but it can only swim forward. And so it literally drops and sinks down to either move backwards and turn or go around it, but then it starts moving forward again and it adjusts. And that's really, really what we're trying to do. And the part that Ashley wrote in the notes for this for me that makes me so happy is like, and this is something I think about often, is the depth of the ocean may be a mystery to many of us, but the areas that have yet to be explored hold so much potential. It holds so many possibilities for us. It holds the abilities for us to discover something brand new, which is where most entrepreneurs are able to create real change in their business and lives. It's where the catalyst lives, the one thing they've been searching for. It's in the darkness yet to be undiscovered. Hello, Ashley, Miss Poet over here. Holy moly, the depth of the ocean is a mystery. But when we think about it, we have to make sure that we're not swimming backwards in business or in life. We're focused on swimming forward and using depth to go deeper to create change, right? So what do we mean by that? Like, so when I think about it in the lens of business, right, it's like, okay, cool. Let's say I'm teaching Zone of Doubt and your customer journey, and you're like, holy shit, I'm doing that. Drown the journey. I'm drowning them. I'm overwhelming them. The moment you have an awareness you're doing that, you know what you're doing wrong. And so the first goal would be like, all right, cool. Well, if I have people coming into this customer journey, that's a good thing. So let's not throw everything out. Let's just start with the biggest pain point, which is, oh, I'm overwhelming them. Well, what's an easy way to mitigate that, or how would I solve that? And then you solve that and you put it into practice, and then you make adjustments. What I see a lot of people doing is they'll like overwhelm somebody with their onboarding process in their customer journey and then tell me their whole customer journey is broken from acquisition all the way down. I see the same thing happen when people set personal goals, right? Let's say you set a revenue goal of like 100 grand and then you only make 80. I will literally, and I did this too, guilty as charged, beat myself up for only making 80 instead of celebrating the fact that I made 80 and something worked to get me to 80 and I was missing something to get to 20. So I would go start again and go start again. And Lindsay used to make fun of me as I was the king of 6-figure offers because it would always get to 6 figures instantly. But then I wouldn't make adjustments. I wouldn't get feedback. I wouldn't go in and try to make it better. I would be like, oh, it stopped working. I have to make another one. And so you see this all the time. And the way to win is to keep moving forward. And yes, you will get to points where you're like, oh, got to redo that one, but it's a piece by piece. But you also can apply the same principles into your personal life, into your fitness goals. Like you watch this all the time. And it's like, you might be crushing your fitness goals. You might be crushing your nutrition goals. You might be having the best 3 weeks of your life. And then you go out, have one too many drinks, binge eat 3 desserts, and then wake up feeling like shit the next day, don't work out for 2 days. And then all of a sudden it's gone. When in actuality, it's completely okay. You made a choice. Maybe it was a mistake, but the only way to really win is whenever you catch it is to be like, oh, cool. Well, I'm going to go drink some water, go for a walk, get back in the game, and not throw out all the habits that I was doing and all the workouts that I was doing. I'm going to get back to them, but maybe I should look for some triggers or ways to mitigate that in the future. And this lesson is applicable everywhere that you go, right? And even in doing content for the event, because the event's coming up in November. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, go to mindofgeorge.com/event. I don't know how many are left. I know there aren't many, but I can't wait to have you. And there's a lot of new customer journey stuff coming and how it's implemented into your business. But one of the things I'm going to be obsessive about is that you're going to work on one customer journey, because I'm going to make sure that you finish it and it's done and it's there. But this mindset of this bite by bite and piece by piece is the way that this is made. Like, no matter which way we slice it, like, even if I'm up against the biggest hurdle in my business, irregardless, I'm eventually going to have to put something on paper to make forward progress and forward momentum. And so to think about this and like, instead of swimming backwards and throwing the baby out with the bathwater, like when we think about even listening to this podcast, right, or learning content or going to events, what we want to think about is like picking up that one thing. And when we find it, making an adjustment, making a decision and putting it into the things that are working, and then going again and going again, because that's the only way to really, really protect momentum. So I don't know how to make this into a model yet, and I will figure this out, but I have a feeling we're going to end up with a baby shark for business model, which is basically how to make sure when you get set up against a roadblock that the only thing you do is pause, drop in a little bit deeper, and then get back to moving forward. And so if somebody can figure that one out already, let me know what behaviors you want in it. But that's going to be it. It's going to be the baby shark model for business, which boils down into staying focused, right? So if you want like a high level summary of even wrapping concepts together around this, is like if you think about having your vision, which we've talked about, I feel like on 800 podcasts, and you go read Viv and Vision, and you're like, that's where I want to be and who I want to be. And then you're like, oh, got it. And then you go take like Nicole LePera's Do the Work or Benjamin Hardy's Personality is Impermanent and design your future self to be the person to have that business. You basically designed the roadmap to be your apex predator, right? For you to be that shark to swim forward. And then you come down deeper and you design your sacred lightkeeper quadrants. And you design those around the behaviors for you as a person to execute those future self-journaling things and the business things that come with it. And you build an SOS model to protect yourself in that momentum. And then it's really a game of triage, for lack of better terms, knowing that you're going to get your face smashed against a glass wall in the middle of the ocean that shouldn't be there. And there's going to be some that are there. And when it happens, we can't stop swimming. We can't just stop, because if a great white shark stops swimming, it dies. It can't just drop and drop and drop. It dies. It has to eventually move forward. And the way to win this game is to analyze where we are and then to find that path to move forward, whatever bucket you get it in. So if it's in your customer journey and you're like, holy shit, this mistake is happening, then rally the troops and you guys create some depth. And so, like in the analogy of baby sharking it and going deeper, well, if you realize there's problems with your customers and you're trying to solve it and you can't, my invitation for depth would be to connect with those customers and start creating solutions that can be applied to everybody. And then when that one's fixed, then you move on to the next one. And if it's in your personal life and you realize that maybe you're not where you want to be physically, well, don't go try to add 2 hours a day of workouts and change your whole diet and do all that. No, just be like, hey, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk every day. I'm going to prioritize it. I'm going to start working on this piece by piece, but it's about getting back on track and getting back forward. And so I think you're going to win as long as you baby shark your business. And I think that's where we're going to end the episode today. And so now I'm going to go sing Baby Shark as I get outside and go do some errands and enjoy Montana. And so that's what I have for today's episode. So, oh, wait, hold on. Ash has one more note on the bottom and she's just loaded with so much wisdom. Hold on. And just for Ash, let me read this line again because like she's a genius and I love this. When we were talking about customer journey, her note on the depth of the ocean may be a mystery to many of us, but the areas that have yet to be explored hold so much potential. It holds so many possibilities for us, the ability for us to discover something brand new, which is where most entrepreneurs are able to create real change in their business and lives. It's where the catalyst lives, the one thing they've been searching for. It's in the darkness yet to be undiscovered. Surrendering is a powerful action that you can lean into when it comes to allowing yourself to sink deeper. Or even think about it like scuba diving. You don't just fall in one stretch. You go down some ways, stop, then go down again as you slowly descend. It's a process of steps and surrendering, knowing that you just have to sink one more step down. So that's what I got for today. So just in case you needed to know it, I love you and I appreciate you and your bright light in the world. I just wanted you to know that. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being here. If this episode landed for you and it would land for anybody else, I would love if you told some people about the podcast. I love this show so much and I would love it to grow. And I don't check the numbers often and I don't really look, but I just love hearing all the feedback and knowing it helps. And if I can help you in any way, if we can record any podcasts for you, if I can answer any questions specifically, please shoot us a DM on Instagram. Our Instagram is It's George Bryant. You know how to get a hold of us. So right now, I want you to go have an incredible day, whatever time of day it is that you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to this, and know that you're worth it. Remember that relationships will always beat algorithms, especially the one with yourself. And so go have a beautiful day. And remember, oh, wait, I already said that. So I'll either see you in the next episode or you will hear me in your earballs. But either way, we're out.